Hey, this is Morning Show. I'm Jeff Cook. I'm with Jackie Contessa and the Kristen Messagey.
Morning.
How's it going today?
Better today.
Is today going to be a good day? What's going on with your mug, Kristen? Why is it not this? Why is
I'm
it
sorry,
not the
I know. It's
Morning
my
Show
other.
mug?
It's another mug. I have many. My husband gets me a mug every year for Christmas, which is sweet tradition, but so unnecessary. And he can't not do it.
Is that
It's a stocking stuffer.
Is that a 1-7 line thing, or is that a husband thing? Because
No, maybe.
I will.
Husband thing is what I'm going with immediately.
Okay. Because it goes with socks. It's in the stocking. Yeah. Anyway, this is a good one.
After you've been married to somebody for a couple decades, gifts are tricky. And in my house, gift giving is 5 days a year. Big gifts. Mother's Day, anniversary, birthday, Christmas. There's one other that I'm forgetting. Valentine's Day.
We don't do that one.
Times 10, 50 gifts. And each of these days generally desire multiple gifts. Now, it may just be the case that the three who is a gift giver in my house and her love language is gift giving.
Okay. I was like, something.
That
yes.
amplifies
I was like, look at him
things just
strategizing this.
slightly. But you got to be really creative.
I
knock
don't
that
envy
out,
you
so-
because this is a myth about sixes that they're good gift givers. I don't know where that comes from, but I suck at gift giving. I am so bad at it. I'm like,
I don't
I will
think
give you the
threes get enough
gift of my
attention about
emotional
that.
maturity. That's what you get.
Word.
And that's a lot.
Well, so okay, I'm a really shitty gift giver.
What?
I think they say that as twos. Yeah, they say not that okay.
Busting
I'm
Enneagram myths first thing in the morning. I
Listen,
like it.
I'm really intentional about gifts. I would one of my favorite things is to get somebody a bag of things that I'm I know, this reminds me of you, that you could use this, a bag of your favorite snacks, things like that,
See,
where it's
that's a
intentional to a
perfect
person,
gift, yes.
Right? But that it's not, you can't always just get somebody a mixed bag of whatever. And so I'm not really good at gifts because I've never used sort of the tangibles to get between me and a person. It was always the flattery and stuff. You see, we're getting monetized. But I think threes can outgift anybody. I am because they can
Is that true, Jeff? Do you get outgifted?
I think threes can out. Threes
It's
are
an
great gift
attention.
givers.
It's an attention getter. I'm giving you this
That's
thing
what it
with
is, yeah.
flam. Here's the thing. All of a sudden, your attention is on me, and then I get to sell all of the energy here and what I am presenting to you.
So what you're
At
saying
least-
is I need more threes in my life. So we break
I
out
also
of
think
the
that they're high quality
coffee cup
people.
mold.
I think they like things that they like, and they also like to share the things that they like, and I think that's what makes them listen, they're high caliber people, and they're you gotta also have this, and then also you're gonna think of me as a person. But anyway, there are some twos that are excellent gift givers though. Anyway, hi, we're talking about good morning. What's your coffee?
Good morning.
This will be Kristen. In editing, I'm noted the heavy cream is used.
Thank you.
Which I think is an excellent selection.
really
Whenever I
important.
run out of half and half and have to use heavy cream, I'm like, this is actually a much better
Dive
drink. Why don't we
in,
do this
man.
more often?
Except, it's so satisfying. Yeah. Half and half
So
just does
satisfying.
not do it anymore. I'm like, only in a
Thin,
must.
weak sauce.
Yeah.
Come with the heft.
Exactly.
Well, next time, maybe love languages could be a topic for us. I've never done love languages in Enneagram.
Oh,
but
you'll
I bet
just
you
get
there's
my
something
rant
worth saying
on
there.
what a stupid
yeah?
I
framework
hate when
that
people
is.
do that. Attachment and an Enneagram. Twos are always anxiously
All men are
Suck my
physical
tootie.
affection.
No.
Shocking. We're not doing that, Jeff. Okay, let's do today's.
I'm a words of affirmation guy, just as a
Oh, me
side
too.
note,
Me too.
Well, we're talking about Enneagram. We have not quite jumped into the Enneagram gear as much as we probably ought to have in the first 2 episodes. So this time it's an Enneagram exclusive. We're going to talk about what we talk about when we talk about the Enneagram. Famous book. What do we talk about when we talk about love? Got published a long time ago. I love this as a meta level. What do we talk about when we talk about the Enneagram? When you think about talking about the Enneagram, what are some of the first things that come to your mind?
Okay, I have to share my quote first.
Please do.
So you'll probably be familiar with this quote. This is Carl Jung. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. I know. So to
That
me,
stings.
I know. It should, right? It should sting all of us. And to me, that's the framework that I approach the Enneagram with, that it's fundamentally about revealing unconscious patterns so that they quit running our life.
I like that.
Say more.
Reading this fantastic book right now, Personality and Wholeness in Therapy.
I want
The
that one, but
subtitle
it's
is about
pricey. I'm cheap.
patterns. It's really
very
expensive.
good. It's a good book. It's worth it. I got to tell you, it's worth it.
Is there anything new in there? Sell me on it.
I try to make the Enneagram as human as possible in coaching, and that can be a little bit hard to do because you need some backing. You need backing. You don't want to lead people on the wrong path, XYZ. As I read this book, it's not that there's necessarily new Enneagram material that isn't known to people. I think it connects it to a different part of our world. It's a beautiful bridge to understanding that this can be a part of transformation in I'm going to say non-spiritual sense. Transformation of this kind's always spiritual, right? It's always a beautiful spiritual journey, but there's just something really beautiful about
day. Carry on, Jackie.
No, we don't.
Because I really want to talk about that separately.
No, I don't want to. but no, thank you.
We're apparently not doing love languages.
I have a really hard time. Actually, Kristen and I have actually talked about this. We've had conversations about this, which is why I'm scared because I know you and I see eye to eye on a lot of this stuff. Okay, but the roof will fly off. But I think the book is excellent. I think it's an important read for people who want to do work with the Enneagram as it pertains to the life of another person. If you want to stand
the life of another person, meaning you in
another
relationship
person
with,
meaning you as a person who teaches or coaches an individual or group of individuals of sorts. I think understanding how it can be adjacent to psychology, to therapy, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying, I think. Yeah.
It's a really nice bridge, right? So it's not, there were some, like, I enjoyed going through the different types and like hearing some of the words used. I enjoyed some of the words used. I'm like, oh, this isn't in the traditional material XYZ. I loved those different things. It's a great book. I'd really recommend it. I'm excited to go through it again.
What do you like?
I'm going to sell you on it because this week, tomorrow, in fact, this will release on Monday of next week. We're going to start a book club on aroundthecircle.org covering this book. I'm going to give an intro. The intro is already posted, so if you want to hear my hour-and-a-half thought setting up this book, you can listen to that. It's on Around the Circle now. Personality, Wholeness, and Therapy, written by Dr. Daniel J. Siegel, Harvard grad, UCLA doctor of psychotherapy.
Type 6.
Very type 6. That was going to be my end. I was leaving the best for last here for you. But the skeptical side comes out in the intro. He gives a bio of his encounter of the Enneagram, which is fantastic. He comes to the Enneagram skeptical, given his sixness, and coming through that journey is real helpful because this is a man who's hyper informed, and the book is not written by himself. It's written by 5 people, and it's been a 20-year project, 50,000 personal interactions.
All right, that's worth $50.
They're baking it.
I'm sold.
It's worth it. It's seriously worth it. I could feel compelled to, but also won't. I want to give you my copy if you won't get it. Like, it's one of those things, but I won't do it because I'm very possessive of my books. It's a great book. It's instrumental. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for listening today. Kristen will buy the book. We have done.
I keep cutting Jeff off. Sorry.
Hold on though. I have. Oh yeah. Is there a cheap way to? I don't really care. I'm gonna get it. Okay?
Audible. You can get it for $10
But
on
see,
Audible
every time because I have a credit available.
Yeah.
But
for free
if
then.
I start listening. Of course, because I do this all the time, right? You start listening to one, and then it's like, oh, I need that in hard copy. Am I the only one who does this?
I do that all the time.
Okay.
It's $35 on Amazon.
Oh, done. That's basically free, especially after this to sell. Okay. You're welcome, Dan. We just sold you however many books.
That's right.
However many more copies. Okay, I want to hang out on a word that Jackie said that I think
do it.
Is so important in terms of the Enneagram that I don't think everybody's using it for this, and it's transformation. Mm-hmm. So I don't know, do you guys, let's talk about transformation for a minute, because I am just with you, Jackie, that like we're trying to actually be different.
Mm-hmm.
And
not for transformation's sake, though.
No.
Goal?
Yeah. What, for what sake?
To change just to change is not to change at all.
Exactly. Ooh, that's good. Put that on
Building on what we have said the last 2 weeks about happiness and advice, I continue to think that there is something out there that we ought to be targeting. Transformation for transformation's sake isn't always valuable. In fact, you can transform in a way that makes you much less healthy. That would be transformation.
Just the difference is that we all agree that there are things out there that we, quote, ought to be targeting? But do you think they're the same for everybody? And maybe others of us think they're not?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the final target, the end for a human being is, that's Aristotle's language, is the same for everybody. And
that just
end
can't be right.
It's flourishing, thriving, happiness, goodness of soul. It's the things that we've talked about. But that's where we're transforming.
If you have pasta and cheese and meat and you stack it and sauce, you can call it a lasagna. But I think some people would put onions and some people wouldn't. And I think some people would put parsley and some people wouldn't. And some people would use this kind of cheese and some people wouldn't. And I think at the end of the day, I think there is a both and here, because I agree with both of you.
Yeah.
And I disagree with both of you, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, like there is a recipe that says like this as a general, as a balance, makes a healthy, whole, happy, complete, fulfilled, transformed human.
Mm-hmm.
This is your pasta, your meat, your sauce, your cheese.
But then we wouldn't at all come out as the same human. And I think that's where it also gets twisty.
No, but let's say lasagna is human, and all of those things that we think are minute, like spices or mirepoix or whatever, are those really huge differences, right? But like there are things that say, yeah, it is true that these things foundationally make a healthy, happy, whatever your word is, human. But I think the sort of maybe the opposite of what Jeff is saying is it's not the same recipe for every single person. Not everybody has the same need or threshold for this, and vice versa.
I think that's what I'm saying.
There.
I think Jeff is saying something different. Jeff, you're below me in this arc of humans. Yeah. So I agree. I agree with Jackie, and I think that's what
There's all sorts of things that make us different. There's all sorts of things that bring us pleasure in the ways that we express ourselves in the world. There are only a few things that make us united as quote unquote human beings. All three of us are a human being, and that places us in a category that's that we can all be categorized as human beings. It seems to me the final end for all human beings, there are certain things that unite all human beings, and one of them is we all want to be happy. And transformation seems to me like the proper target of transformation is that. Because once you've arrived at happiness, and by that I mean thriving, flourishing, goodness of soul.
I've decided I can live with a sense of true well-being. That works. Is my...
Sounds so sexy.
It's just better than the word
for
happy is just it's never gonna work for me.
When I hear happy, I truly metabolize it as like I know joy and are included in that, but I also, when I think of happy, and perhaps it's from a convoluted, like I hear people say it all the time, as I'm sure you do. I want to be happy. I want to be happy. I want to be happy. They're all looking for different things, and some of it at the end is, I want this to not be, I want the exhale. Maybe it's relief. Maybe it's not the idea of nothing against you, nothing to fix. Like, I think it's different for in everybody's language, but I don't think, I think it can be happy as long as we can divorce the idea that happy always means
I'm just
very,
saying
very
I
joyful.
found my word. It's well-being. And I am just going to stick with it. And I'm going to flip it every time Jess says happiness. That's all I'm saying.
Flip that table, girl.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push a challenge forward to the idea. When coming to the topic of happiness, of course, people think that they want different things. Some people, when pursuing happiness, go down horrible paths. Mm-hmm. That's part of the art of living, is understanding there are some paths we think will make us happy, and they won't.
Totally. Which the
That has to be
Enneagram,
said. Otherwise,
that
yes.
the Enneagram is going to reveal those, I think, right?
So
Through and
when
through.
it comes to transformation and Enneagram, pivoting back, that's what strikes me as really valuable, is what is actually going to make you happy. It seems to me that the Enneagram is going to expose a lot of things, especially what was stated at the front, unconscious patterns. We think these unconscious patterns will make us happy, and they won't.
Yep.
And part of talking about the Enneagram is just exposing those, naming those, saying that these are actually ruts, even though they feel like they're going to protect you and give you what you want. That's actually some of the hard work.
The other thing I think the Enneagram has absolutely done for me, hands down, across the board, that has been transformative, but through a different way, is I take almost nothing personally from what other people are doing. And that has changed my whole entire life, to really have, because I had that idea, don't take things personally, but to really understand that people are looking at me through their lens of being, through all of their own subconscious everything. It is just not about me, has been so incredibly freeing in my life. And just let so many things go that don't need to, as a 6, I can overthink things, perhaps you've heard about that. And I just think a lot less about myself in relation to others. That actually helps me feel much closer to them, which is something I desire.
When we talk about the Enneagram, this is one of the points that I have that I think you're sort of touching on. What I think is really important is, and it's always been important for me, is the Enneagram really doing what you think it's doing in your life, what it should be doing in your life and in your world. And it's funny when when I was listening to your quote and the way that you were describing it, the quote that I have is simply, it's from, I think, one of the quotes found in Wisdom of the Enneagram. And it's, what can we gain by sailing to the moon if we are not able to cross the abyss that separates us from ourselves? And I think it's important for us to be asking, like, what does the Enneagram do? Is it doing what I think it should be doing in my world, such as bridging that gap between me and somebody else? And I was hearing your quote, and I thought to myself about sort of the shell shock that I had when I found out about the Enneagram, when I found out about this true abyss between me and who I am. And
like who you think you are versus who you are.
You're like, oh, this is, yes, exactly. But that person's always there, and that gap always makes sense. And as I wrote this down as you were talking, understanding ourselves is a prerequisite. It's a prerequisite way that allows us to actually understand life for the first time for real. And I thought about, like, this next week, or this Friday, so it'll be out by the time, whatever. I'm writing the email, and in the email, I literally wrote how, like, I wasn't born with a pair of balls. And, like, that's not even to be funny. Like, the way that I literally was not born with a pair of balls and somebody else was the way that I literally was not born with a sense of these built-in idea of boundaries and limits and where this ends and where I begin and X and Y and Z. And when I learned about the Enneagram, I was like, hang the flop on. I don't actually understand anything if I don't understand if this is true. I don't understand anything. And so for me, like, it had to be doing something in my life, because it was a prerequisite to the way that, like, I was like, wait, I don't think I understand anything, and things need to be different. So a question that's always been important for me, even before I started coaching with it, and I was using it as a person, just a human and with friends, I watched this question, is the Enneagram doing what it really should be doing in your life? Create gaps between myself and other people. Because some people are like, I love being a 2. I just want to be loved. And this is so cute. Self-care bingo for 2s and all that fun stuff. And then there's someone here that's like, I have to feel around in the dark 24/7 for my sense of self. But if I don't do that, the rest of the world and the way I see it is not true. Okay, here we go. Right. So the question, going back to when we talk about the Enneagram, what do we talk about? What matters? Is it doing for you what it's meant to do in your life? Like, why do you carry around a hammer if you're never going to use it in your toolbox? That's some of my thoughts, and I'd love to.
So something I feel like you're fundamentally saying and where I think it's misused is I don't necessarily value this as a tool for transformation. I judge other people with it. I like kind of use it as like, oh, you're just being a whatever, or you're just blah, 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 blah.
Or I'm just this, or like, oh, like
letting yourself
that's
off the hook.
That's so me. Oh my God, me. And then being like, okay, well, I just do that because my, not to, it's my 60ness that I just can't stop overthinking. And literally it just ends there.
Exactly.
The same way that someone goes, well, I'm sorry for what I did. And it just ends there, right? It's not.
Right.
Transformation does, I guess, require, we use this word, I think the last time, ownership. But then that's the question, right? Is it doing what it's supposed to be doing? What does it require for the Enneagram to be doing what it's supposed to be doing in our lives?
One thing I think it requires, I think that's a great question, is real-time self-awareness versus like a conceptual understanding of I can be that way sometimes. People like to your point about overthinking, oh, I can overthink, or I can experience self-doubt, or I can draw totally erroneous conclusions about situations. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's all interesting to know. But there's no value in that for me unless I can catch it in the moment. So I think self-awareness is incredibly different than insight. I think most of us want insight and don't want to actually wrestle with self-awareness, because those moments, that's the meat.
And I got to tell you, too, especially in talking about the Enneagram, there's so much. I came prepared to be like, yeah, like we talk about, I don't know, subtypes and passion. But then I was like, hang on a second. This is also what we hide behind. I have met, and I'm sure you have as well, in consultation, someone that's like, oh, basically insert your Enneagram phrase here. The wound in my life is bleeding, but I got to figure out my wing. Or I just want to know my subtype. And I'm like, hey, you're bleeding out. Like, so I know. Okay. I think there are also things around the Enneagram that can be, you know how sometimes when we talk to fours, let's say, and just to be reductive about it, we say like, hey, sometimes we push into some kinds of pain to distract ourselves from other kinds of pain, right? To distract ourselves from doing the work and untethering that from part of our story, blah, blah, blah. I think sometimes we look at things within the Enneagram to distract ourselves from doing the work that's required for, if you look at just your main type, I could give you 1,000 things that you need to be working on before you work your wing and your subtype and this, that, and the other thing into it. If you just look at your cores, I think some of that can also be a distraction from, is the Enneagram doing what it's supposed to be doing in your life? It is supposed to be doing something.
What's it supposed to be doing?
Transforming us.
Where are we going?
Where we need to be
Apparently,
going.
Where's that?
See, but that's the thing. You and I are going to see this differently because you believe there's one subscription that, and I don't. I don't. I think when I look at a person and they come in and they say, I am this type. And so I think that what I need to do next is find the most authentic me, live them out, and stop caring what people think. And I hear 3 different things that they're going to do on their own, but I need to open up the hood of the car and say, I have to figure out what this means to you. And I'm not going to say you need this many friends, this many hours of movement, and X, Y, and Z. I need to, be with this person. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't care about not that I don't care about subtypes. Like, it's funny because it comes up and I need it for me because this is just me. This is my hot take. It doesn't really come up the rest of the sessions, but for me, it's a good, vital information about how you do your why. So I like it and I need it. But I also think that transformation is a very individualized thing and still not a type thing. Like there are human forms of transformation. There are type transformations. And then there's Susie's transformation. And Susie Cream Cheese is not going to do what all the other ones are doing because she's not all the other ones, even if all the other ones think that all you need to do is be happy at the end.
So something I think about a lot is, how do I get myself in my own life and my clients? What is the transformation they actually want? When we think about change, we can look at someone else and kind of, Jackie, like you said, I can see like all the different ways that you might need to change. Mm-hmm. But that's so not helpful to that person. They need to know what their, to use Jeff's language, target, like their next target, and then actually get some success in the ability to make change. Then maybe there's another target, and then you have some confidence that you can actually influence yourself in a way to change, right? There has to be some success, and then you can maybe get a little more creative in what you're actually going for.
Of course, there's always a marker. Is that where you're like a marker to establish of sorts?
Yeah. So like what I can see is like a healthy whatever number doesn't really matter if we can't actually work with what's in the way.
Yeah.
And it's tricky to figure out what's in the way, which was why I'm like, well, the Enneagram gives us all these shortcuts, but then real quick, we just get really uncomfortable. Jeff, you talk about the Enneagram a lot with a lot of people. What are you talking about when you talk about the Enneagram?
Yeah, what's relevant right now?
What is relevant right now?
What's relevant?
Normally, I've been talking about like whether or not science confirms it or not, and that's been our topic of conversation. What I've been most interested in with Enneagram is that it exposes for me that the most powerful words that you can say to somebody is not "I love you." The most powerful words you can say to somebody is "This is what I want." And Enneagram has very specific language for helping you to say that. That's been something I've really been learning.
Can you expand on that? Why? Can you expand on
Using a personal example?
Yeah, I'm that baffles me, and I can accept it as true in my heart, but I don't understand it, and I would love to hear.
I think for most of us, when we to contrast these, when saying that I really care about you, I love you, it ends up being like I feel a connection to you. That's not depth in my view. Like you can feel warm and fuzzy about someone all day long, but if you are exposing your heart at a level where you're saying this is the thing I actually want, that's vulnerable, that is inviting people into depthier spaces. I don't know. I suppose the older that I get, I feel like saying this is what I want is becoming much, much more difficult.
So for example, like I often want approval, but I don't say that, right? I might react like what I want is a sense of deep connection. And, I'm just throwing out random things that I might generally want.
Yeah.
So what I hear you saying is an ability to actually connect with what I'm really wanting, like those examples, and be able to like forward that instead of like the topical whatever that we might be talking about or going sideways about.
Better. I think most people don't know what they want.
I agree. That's what I'm saying.
I think that's really beautiful and well said. I think I think about Kristen's quote leading me to think like, understanding ourselves, being able to answer and say, what do I want? I love you in action, because it is the prerequisite through which we understand ourselves, and then through which we understand the world, through which we can love ourselves and love other people. I think I love you in action is way more important than I love you in words. And that's why I think there's something that like pinged really true. Like I didn't understand it at first. I was like, how could that be? But it pinged really true. And because I know it feels selfish in my bones every time I think to myself, what do I need or what did I need? I think that's a really important question to actually ask in past tense, is what did I need? But like what do I want answers questions that you can't look past, prioritizes things in healthy ways. It is the embodiment of I love you because I can love me. And maybe I'm metabolizing it as very two-ish, but like something in that ping's very, very true and feels very vulnerable.
Yes. That I do think the Enneagram is an invitation to vulnerability.
Yes.
For every person. And to then lead with that where it's appropriate, where it makes sense.
Yeah. Building on that, it's like when you go down that path of this is what I want, what's going to happen is you're going to get exposed. that for me is what the work is. You are exposed, and now you get to do business with it. In my view, you ought to, prescriptive language, put on lenses that say, what does this say about me, and what needs work? So again, I feel like it's a diagnostic tool at a real core level where you're saying, am I healthy? And what does it look like for a person like me to become more healthy? So I was in a conversation with the great Katie Whitlock the other day. I ended up saying that I jump on the scale about 4 times a day, and she paused and she goes, "You do what?" And I said, I weigh myself about 4 times a day. And I had never thought about this. This is a rhythm of mine. I don't have any problem with it. I just jump on and I look at how I'm doing. Now, I am a body type with energy going inwardly. And if I am in control of myself, then everything else will be in control. And one of the primary things that I can control if I have the wheel is my weight. And
but
it's
like,
just
what do you make it mean? If
it means all sorts of stuff. I might be trying to gain weight. I've put on about
This is
12.
my son. My son weighs himself at the end of the day. So he gets the highest number. And I'm like, no woman is weighing herself.
I was going to say,
No.
that's not
like
womanhood whatsoever.
First thing in the morning.
First thing,
Me, I'm
no
like,
water.
first thing in the morning.
Right.
All of my clothes gone. Yep.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
I think
but
it's
go
gonna
ahead and make
matter
your point,
for
yeah.
different people for different reasons.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So, like, I don't care what you think about my weight.
Right.
But a lot of people do care what other people think about their weight, right?
Mm-hmm.
I care about my weight insofar as, am I achieving the athletic goals that I have? And I put just a lot of weight in those because, again, one that I am, executing my will over myself is a primary.
Mm-hmm.
But I had never thought about this being a manifestation of that, 1. And 2, I had to really second guess, is that healthy? I don't know if that's healthy. I've never even thought about it. It's just part of my rhythms. So the exposure happened. And then I had to do business with what got exposed. And that I think that's at its best, Enneagram is exposing. And
totally
it
agree.
invites you to look at who you are through your own lens and through perhaps to step aside from your lens. What do you think?
So one of my favorite Brené Brown quotes, and I don't think this would apply to all numbers, but vulnerability is the first thing I want to see from you and the last thing I want you to see from me.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Yeah.
And I don't know that would apply
I
for
think
like
it does
8s or, I mean, maybe the second part, but not the first part. I don't think they're so interested maybe in our, I don't know. What do you all think about that? For me, that quote's like,
I do
straight to
think
my
there's,
heart.
you know, even if we don't screw out the semantics and go, well, vulnerability includes emotion, and so 8 so on is, you know, but I think the premise of it is so true. Is
Yeah.
I want to see 100% of what's there.
like who you really
I don't
are.
want you to see that in me because it touches something weird, but I need that in you to move towards you, to trust you, to connect with you, to have my autonomy, to blah, blah, blah. Like, I think that's fair for
Well, and it's
everybody of all
interesting the why of why we do want to see other people's vulnerability. To me, it makes me feel safe.
Yes.
So if other people are real with me, which is what I'm equating vulnerability and realness,
Yep.
I feel like now we can actually connect.
I'm thinking
'Cause-
about rejection. I'm thinking about
Okay.
if I can't see through you, I might be walking towards something that's going to electrocute me, and then I have to walk backwards in shame. And I would rather run straight into the electric fence.
See, and for me, it's just like fake, and then
Yeah.
something real.
Yeah.
Like, which isn't fair. That's not a truth. That's just my read of vulnerability is now we've touched something real and true, which is why, like, as a coach, right? When someone sees themselves in a way that they're like, ew, that's when I, throw a party. Because I'm like,
think-
there
and
you are. And we
even
can
if we
love
give her-
you. We don't have
Even
to
if we give or take or throw out the word vulnerability and we don't say, like, I think to Jeff's point, to the middle of what you're saying about this vulnerability exchange or whatever, doing business with what is exposed, right? I think exposed is a word that is in Brené Brown's vulnerability definition, if I'm not mistaken. So I think doing business with what is exposed, like, what do we talk about? What should we talk about? what should we be talking about when it comes to the Enneagram? I think what matters, and what matters is what is exposed, what it exposes, what leads to transformation. I think that I'm not saying don't have fun with it. I think if you listen to us banter and go, oh, the 6 is being hypervigilant, or oh, the 1 was on to talk about strategy, blah, blah, blah. Like, we can joke about it and have so much fun with it. But largely, we have to be honest that it's such a transformation for a tool for transformation, because it is, to be reductive, in my opinion, it is like the only thing I've ever sustainably been able to do something with what is being exposed in myself, in clients. Like, I remember using the Enneagram as a personal tool and coaching. I never thought I would connect the two until I met with a client who, I love talking about this, and she gives me permission. She was a 6. She was like one of my first clients. And I just remember going, oh my gosh, I think if she knew these things, I think if she had this language, I wouldn't have to actually work on these goals with her. She could just do them. She could meet them herself. And I realized by the time we had stopped working together, she was basically doing all of the things that she came in wanting to do, and we had never touched them. I think, what do we talk about when we talk about the Enneagram? Whatever is being exposed. I talk about it like putting your thumb over the bleed, but I think we talk about whatever's being exposed in us first. And if that is found in your wing, I'll give it to you. But it's more often than not found in, I think, like your core type. I think
Truth.
we need to be talking about, what do we talk about might be secondary to, we need to be talking about it. Maybe we need to be more honest.
So
right?
how do we see what we see and not collapse into shame? That's could be good for a separate topic. But one of the things that,
Shame as a universal word, or are you talking about like heart types particularly?
I don't know, not heart types particularly at all.
Okay.
But like,
so collapse into something that is,
you see the thing and then it takes
feel
you
undone
out,
by
right?
it.
Another
Yeah.
part of personality comes and like,
Well, it's probably, I mean, the thing that came up for me next in terms of what Enneagram is about when you're talking about it is it's naming how you see the world and how you, and giving a name to the emotions that emerge because of how you see the world.
Yeah.
We see the world differently, and we experience different emotions based on how the world is coming into us. And if we can't name that and why it's the case, that we experience a higher level of shame, fear, anger, that becomes central.
doing business with the core emotions.
Yeah.
I think to like
so
something tangible that I love to tell people is, speaking of Brené Brown, she has a chart or a wheel or whatever. It's like 87 human emotions and experiences. And that has been so incredibly helpful, because people can place themselves anywhere, and it is the work of the Enneagram to be able to be like, how it's human, it's available to me. I'm a 2. Resentment is available to me, even though that's a 1-ish word. Anxiety is available to me, even though that's a 6-ish word.
Resentful.
They do, yes. But to this point, it's important to be able to bring it back. So to be able to like name emotion, to be able to put yourself there, to be honest about it, to do business with what is being exposed. I think that's
So you have to have a
intangible.
capacity to let yourself be exposed. That's the other thing. So when I was talking about like there's different levels of capacity before you can sort of, it's like you can't unlock the next level until you've built a foundation to
Yeah.
unlock the next level is another
Correct,
way I
yeah.
see the work. And that
Yeah.
might be what levels of health are really about to some degree.
Yeah. Well, there's some other relativity. Sometimes health for one type may look very different than health for another type.
Jeff, that's true.
So let me validate this idea for a second. I'll even give you an example.
I feel
Fours who are-
so much better. I don't know what you're about to say, but I love it.
4s who are embracing Brené Brown's 87 categories and really focused on them all day long, that may not be healthy for you.
Right.
But for a 2 to do that, that may be very healthy for you, because you haven't done business with your own emotions for a while.
Right.
And so levels of health.
Yes, everyone has their own work with their thing. Yeah.
Now,
Yes.
in good news, it's like what I would argue is we're all climbing up a similar mountain, but just doing so from different sides. And you're going to arrive at the top, and the top is going to look like moderation and wisdom and courage, grace.
I agree.
And in balance, everybody's like those character traits, those virtues are going to characterize what's going on in those spaces.
I think too, Jeff, it's like, yes, and those are internal things. So the outcome of living with internal virtues is not going to look the same for every person.
Exactly right.
Okay.
No, and in fact, I think that the more that you embrace virtue, the more unique you actually become.
Yes.
So courageous 6s look really, really different than courageous 5s.
And they look different from each other, to Jackie's point.
Correct.
Yes,
Exactly.
So it's not that you become more like other folks down this path of aiming at
like you.
and attaining well-being. You actually look more like your quote unquote like yourself.
That's right. Less lumped,
Yes.
more unique.
Now, I don't think you're trying to return to some idealistic state. I think
We got there. No, we got to a win, and now we got to like, woohoo!
I think that that is
We're at an
forest
hour. We
language
got
to
to
be
a
like, I had it, I lost
Don't
it. Yeah.
ruin it.
No, I think that's we're all a win is a win. Okay,
Win
good
is a win.
morning.
We're all
Good
on the
morning.
same page. I think
Also,
we did the thing.
This morning, you can cut this out if you want to. Jeff, I released a podcast episode about defense mechanisms, and the what I had talked about for ones in a step to overcoming reaction formation is to look at a chart, literally the 87 feelings and experiences or whatever, because I think instead of like, it is so important to actually begin to be like, well, this is exactly what is happening to me. But that was the thing for ones. And so I thought that your prescription for people was very astute as to,
Thank you. There is, this is where type comes in. Let's just talk about the emotions for 2 seconds. Enneagram allows us to engage our emotions by naming how we approach our emotions. So I'm coming with a heightened emphasis on my intuitive center. Jackie is coming to emotions with a heightened emphasis on her feeling center. Kristen is coming with a heightened emphasis on her thinking center. That's the starting point. All three of us, however, process externally. All three of us are going to do business with our emotions very much out in front. You're going to see it a lot in our verbal processing. And for both of y'all, it's going to be your emotions are going to be very tied to other people because you're self-assessing whether or not you're good in the world and feel good in the world based on your relationships. 2s, 4s, and 6s. I'm processing my emotions in a very different space because I'm assessing through action and accomplishment. Is my will being enacted over myself and in the world? And that's going to be a big target of my emotional life. But being able to name how is it that I'm coming to emotions really matters. Now, I have a really difficult time with my emotions because of this. I want to accomplish some stuff, and that's when I feel happy and good in the world. And emotions can get in the way. That's not necessarily how 2s, 4s, and 6s are going to come to emotions. Connecting with others emotionally is actually going to be the target. And so doing business with your emotions actually can be one of those bridges to accomplishing how you feel best in the world. Long story short, Enneagram allows you to see why some people are real happy in the world of emotions and why some people are miserable in the world of emotions. And
something
there's
you
no
said there,
judgment, as it were.
Hold on. Something you said there, I want to correct. I feel like because I feel like for 6, it isn't about what. How did you say
emotional connection? Because I was going to say
it's
the
about
same thing for
shared
2, where it's
understanding.
Emoting is one thing. Being an emotional person, intuiting someone's emotion is one thing. I repress anything that I'm feeling that I can't bridge the gap with another person. So like that's it's emotionality.
Yeah.
And the emotional world are, I think, also different for each individual. Sorry, Kristen, please go ahead.
No, I think we just both had a reaction to what Jeff said. We're like, you're wrong.
We're all offended.
What I think is happening is you're showing in that triad 2, 4, 6 how the different expressions of engaging the feeling center are going to end up playing out. So for the 2, it's going to be external. It's going to be your emotions. I'm reading your emotions to feel good in the world.
Yes.
For the 6, it's I'm engaging the emotions of the person in front of me, as was said earlier, because I want to understand if we're connected. And if we're connected, you're going to protect me when things break. You're going to be beside me when things break. You're going to be reliable when things break.
But again, it's
2 different ways of being in the world.
Yeah, I think I would just say it differently. It's fine.
It's solving the problems. The problem for the 2 is their sense of value and shame, and the problem for the 6, and again, this through the centers, the problem for the 6 is the anxiety and the future reference. Relationships
There's
are
also
functioning
a present.
different.
I don't know. We just,
Hurts my feelings when people tell me things that are true about me.
Yeah, exactly.
When that's the thing. One of the things is like I'm not argumentative. When it comes to these things with theory, sometimes I find that it brushes up against my own intentions, right? And so then I go, oh, like there's a little bit of pride there where I'm like, no, I repress my feelings, and it's like we're literally fucking saying the same thing. And like it's funny because I thought about what you had said earlier, Kristen, when you were like, I'm probably paraphrasing this, but like I'm not as easily offended, and both of us were like, excuse me, how could you say that about me, Jeff?
It's not about being offended. It's about correcting the record and having shared understanding. So it's like there's a misunderstanding here. That's what it is. It's like there's a misunderstanding. What I want is shared understanding. That's what a 6 wants, and that's what a 6 has to let go of. What I'm looking for is shared understanding.
Yes.
And that's not a value. That's not a functional target. Because I can't get people in my head, and I can't get into other people's head and make it make sense.
Is there ever a medium for
I
you
have to have
where you go, okay, like, it is not possible to get, do you ever go, okay, it's not possible for this person to fully understand? Does that ever happen?
That's what I'm saying is that I have to, my work is to open hand that.
And allow them to misunderstand
and to value the way I think about things. Instead of it needing to be validated because someone else
understood it.
Is like, yes.
Resonance.
So like, let people think how they think and don't disregard or discount the way I think about things. Find myself in myself.
Yeah.
And then let the people have their misconceptions.
We're going to let Jeff have his misconception. Go ahead.
I want to put special emphasis on what's taking place there. We're all talking about problem-solving mode, which is, in our language, coping style. The 6 in coping with problems is going to push others for an emotional response so that they can get a sense of themselves in the world in relation to how others see the world. And so 6s will push others to expose, do you see the problem
and
I
I'm
see?
hee-heeing and ha-haing.
And,
yeah, and we have to understand that they do not.
Sometimes.
And that
I
is
mean,
okay.
sometimes they do.
Sometimes they do. Yeah.
And actually, if
but
somebody
when they're
says,
not, and I need it, like my husband does an amazing impression of a 6. It's
you
fantastic.
and I, Kristen, have a side text thread that is all about political realities. You and I see the same problem, and it's gratifying. It's gratifying to say, can you believe all of this junk that's going on in the world? And that is a place of connection in terms of problem solving, right? For the 6. It's different for me in terms of what I'm getting out of that.
Yeah.
But do you, like, if nobody in your life was saying there's anything wrong going on in the world, and you were sitting there looking at this same world going, I think things are really, 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 really breaking, that would probably be an uncomfortable state. And you probably would start pushing folks to say, hey, did you see what this person said today? Right. That seems like a problem.
That's really where a lot of 6 work is.
Yes.
This is what I'm seeing.
Yes.
It's like more informing than like, and I need you also too. Back to the vulnerability. It's a very vulnerable place for a 6 to be, is here's what I'm seeing. Here's why I think it's important. Let me just be in that and offer it up.
And when somebody understands that
own experience.
But when somebody understands really that and sort of metabolizes that,
it right.
What does that do?
It's really disorienting. I'm like,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, my husband's gone to some level.
When other people see the same problem you do?
No, when they kind of
when they are able to like sort of not regurgitate it back, but put it back to you.
Really meet me where I want to be met.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's
because it's like, what am I looking for?
Here's what I'll tell you is I think it's a measure of my growth that occurs more often than it doesn't now, because I think sixes are wired to miss it, right? We're wired to miss the places where we do have support, where we do have agreement, where we do have shared whatever, because we're wired to look for what's missing. So
let me play this thought experiment out, and then I would love to do the same thing with twos who are going to do this very differently. But this is what
we're
we
getting
talk about
two
when we
morning
talk about
shows for the price of one. You can like cut
I may, to be honest, I might cut the first half of this particular recording.
like, this is good.
The whole thing was great.
We'll see.
Keep it in.
Perfectionist that I am, you'll have to make the cut. The six, having if you do experience that connection and other people validating your emotional reactions, you've gotten the emotional reaction you wanted. It allows you to move back into center. And notice, trust yourself, because apparently your judgments were right. They just got validated when I was doing problem solving. Yep. And that's the move prior to going into stress. That's the move. You jump into that problem solving gear.
So
I love that you, in saying this, and this might be worth talking about, want to say sometimes problem solving for the six means I don't need other people's validation. I need to trust my own judgment and not outsource to others. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
1,000,000% what I'm saying.
That I want to think more about that in terms of is that a healthy gear or not? I'm sure that I just want to think about that more, but I think that's interesting.
Well, feel free to ping me about it, because
yes. For the two, Jackie, I'm going to put you on the hot plate here now. In problem solving, you're positive spinning, yeah? Like something breaks specifically in the world that's affecting everybody else's connection relationally to each other. That's what you care about most. And you get up and you say, look, I'm here to love and care for folks. Everything's gonna be fine.
Okay, so I think that's a little bit of a 9-ish way to look at it.
Okay.
Because in reality, I'm not addressing problems, and I'm not solving things, and I'm not smoothing things over. I am pretending that the things that are competing with what I want in reality are not there. So I think for twos, it leans a little bit more like sevens, where there is manipulation of data that's happening in real life. We talk about sevens, and the phrase that I love is like amplify positive data, minimize negative data. Twos have sort of that middle, because nines will be like, everything is fine. Everything's fine. Smooth it over. I think twos are sort of that funny. I am not ignoring other people's problems. And I'm also
Correct.
not necessarily ignoring problems between us. I am believing, despite reality, that everything is going to work out, and I'm pushing towards that, but I'm not ignoring, I'm generalizing, ignoring the data that's real and happening, because it has to pop my pride to be true. And so what you're talking about, like sort of the question for Kristen, like, like if someone validates you, what do you do with that, right? If somebody meets you where you're at, even though I handle things positive outlook, whatever, if I come to that place from a disconnected from my needs, from reality, from what's really happening and what the data that's really happening, and the dam bursts because I cannot repress any longer, and reality is not matching to how I inflated it to be, that's when the unproductive thinking starts for me. So it doesn't matter that I've been validated in that moment. I can always recall cognitively that Susie saw me where I was at, and that's real nice. And if I ever need to bitch about somebody again, I'll call Susie, I'm sure. But that's when the unproductive thinking starts about me and the other person that I vented to, or me and the person that I'm in a relationship with, or me and the person that I thought was the problem, or me and whatever. Like, there's so much unproductive thinking that is obviously a result of the imbalance of, it's all a game around pride, and I'm trying to keep it like it's this prize balloon from like my 7th birthday.
Because I feel like there's something about two where it's like they have to be a part of the positive solution, right? They have to be centered in.
I thought that was obvious.
No, that's the key.
I
am the solution.
Right.
You're welcome. You need me.
This would be landing the plane in terms of problem solving, the problem solving isn't about any particular solution aside from I'm here with a big S on my chest to give everybody a big hug and connect us with the full embraces
and
that
that
I
is the
can
solution to
what
whatever
twos
the
need to
problem
understand though, if you're a two, please listen to this. That's not the positive outlook part that you need to be paying as much attention to as it is you needing to erase what's really happening in reality to actually always make that happen. When twos pay attention to what's really happening and they're honest with themselves to the point where they will reach out to another person and ask for advice, they're ready to make a change. That's why they're not looking at reality a lot of the time. So I think like the positive outlook part is such a togetherness thing and solving it together and it being me. Yay. But it is also pretending that that is all that is there. And that is really bad. Stop doing that.
Which is another which is another part of the Enneagram. It zooms our attention so that we miss the rest of reality. And all types, right,
Yes,
have
ma'am.
this attention thing that their type hones them in on.
Which you should read
That is
Daniel
only a
Siegel's
sliver
book.
of reality.
Which you should,
But I
because we
already
do.
did it. I'm good. I'm good.
Ew.
Well, there's
Text your favorite quotes.
the thing that I'm really playing with on this front is that, as Siegel says in the book, we are taking in the world through 3 different centers.
Yes.
You can't maximally focus on all 3 centers at once. You have to pivot. So what's going to take the majority of your energy, time, and focus? Is it going to be your emotional relational life? Is it going to be your future focused analytic resource awareness? Is it going to be your physicality and how things are going in your spaces? You can't do all of them at once in order to get anything done. All your energy gets diffused. And so I think that what Enneagram does is it names how we pivot, how we're balancing. And sometimes you do need to push towards resources, 2s in your bank accounts. Sometimes you do need to push towards action and accomplishing things. Sometimes you do need to pause and say, how are my relationships going? And the Enneagram names how each of the types, given their filters, can pivot into those spaces. Long story short, what I see with the 2s then, as you were saying, Jackie, is that the primary goal is the relational connections. The primary goal isn't building a new building. The primary goal isn't what's in my bank account, as it was said. But the primary goal is, are we in this together? And so when problems emerge, that invites the 2 to get optimistic and say, because I'm here, I can be part of that glue that connects us all.
Jackie, do you?
You can feel because connection. Yes, if you say 2-2, yes, connection, but connection is nothing. I don't care if you're connected to me. I care how you feel about me.
So
that's what I was going to say.
Correct.
That's more 6y. How you were saying it.
And for me, if I'm connected, like I am, and this is very vulnerable for me. Like I am low to no contact with a lot of my family because I don't give a rip if we need to be connected. If you don't like me, what the fuck am I doing here? That is, sorry, you can cut that. But that's like,
No, that's
but
probably-
so connection,
that's-
like I think there's 9s and 2s can be really similar in needing connection the same way that, let's say, 2s and 4s are like, I want to be seen or I want to be witnessed or whatever. But when you boil down what that actually means, what the conditions are, that it's so different. So like, yes, we're in this together is a means to an end that like, you like me, because liking me, having favor towards me, saying something about her is essential to something we've got in this together. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
The thing I'm not mentioning is like when your problem solving doesn't work, you fall into stress and
then I kill someone.
Yeah. And then you move into the spaces for the 2. It's okay. Apparently boundaries need to get set. So that's how you really know the 2 can know that they are utilizing 8 tools, is that they've decided, all right, this is my space, is your space, and this is what I'm going to do about it.
And the problem that if you don't connect with your needs, you can't get into eighth space in the way that you want to. And I think that's where when we talk about Enneagram, we talk about what matters to our core type. Yeah.
Yep.
That's where you're going. Yeah.
Bang. Long and short for me is I shut down emotion when I'm solving problems, and I just focus on what do I need to do? What is the right target? And that's focus on my head in action. Go ahead.
Have you ever considered trying to be a victim?
I despise. Like, it is the primary thing that it's my primary pet peeve is victim mentality. Mm-hmm.
I'm just stuck here because it's someone else's fault.
And mostly it's because it stagnifies action, future progress. You can't get better if you're going to live in that space, And so a lot of that's my own wrestling. My own lack of empathy for some folks comes out very hard in these spaces.
I literally heard Bob on a call the other day. He's like, my wife knows this. I'm good at a lot of things. Empathy's not one of them.
I think that's really interesting how like some of our values can impact our not emotional availability, but like what is deemed an appropriate reaction to. Because I have some of those same features and feelings about other types of things, right? Like someone who is, let's say, like obviously I don't like someone who's victim-y either. Hello, Pop, this is Kettle, I'm black. But like I don't like people who are incredibly selfish, incredibly, like what I don't owe anything to anybody. So we all have our different things from different angles. I think that's really interesting.
I can judge everybody equally. I'm extremely equal
we need you for that.
Judger.
We need you for that though. That's your role in our community. We love you.
Great. I'm really good at it.
It does show you why the pet peeve emerges if you talk about Enneagram, and you can self-assess. So I can actually ask myself, is this a healthy thing for me to lack empathy for this person's situation? Or is it actually the case that lacking empathy allows me to step into their space and say, look, I don't care about this part of your story because it is actually something that's going to make you a less healthy person. And so we're getting up and we're moving. I think oftentimes empathy can be one of those emotions that actually stagnifies everything.
Oh, 1 bajillion%.
Right.
I have become a much healthier person as I've learned to monitor and manage my deep, overwhelming empathy. 100%. It can be a freaking, I can't do anything for weeks.
In Good News, Enneagram can give you that external perspective. Here's your patterns. Here's what you're doing. This is your type. Now you can ask yourself, is this, let's talk about whether or not this is bad behavior. And the way you would assess that, by the way, is through virtues.
Is this the morning and evening show?
No. It's good thoughts. Last words on what we talk about when we talk about the Enneagram.
Yeah, I think my last thought is people would do well to be open to what they don't know about themselves, as opposed to thinking they know themselves so well. That kind of ropes in my initial quote. Like, be curious and stay open to what you don't know. Because, by the way, everyone else can see it anyway.
Great.
Yeah.
So that's my closing thought.
My closing thought is that the Enneagram is allowed to be fun. The Enneagram is allowed to be whatever you want it to be. But when something matters and is true, consider it exposed and follow the lead a little bit. I think it's worth it.
I'm going through this book that just got released today.
I just
Joey
purchased
Shui,
it.
which is
Yay.
When Working Together Doesn't Work. She writes a bunch of stuff on ones that I found very exposing in terms of what she as an 8 sees as the pattern of ones in work environments. And I was like, I need to receive that, do business with that. Sometimes what I feel is a critique is actually just noting, here's what you bring to the world. You don't need to be so harsh on the language being used about oneness. And sometimes it's like these are the edges that probably need to get shaved off a little bit. Lifelong work. Yeah. Enneagram invites us into. All right. Well, if you want to connect with my work, it's at aroundthecircle.org. Both Jackie and Kristen can be found on the Instagram, and there's links to their websites and all the good stuff that they're up to in the world. And we are apparently avoiding talking about love languages in the
We can
in
do
future.
it would be fine.
You can
I'm
talk
gonna be
about
sick that day.
the spiritual and unspiritual side of Enneagram.
Can't not
I'm
talk
also
about
gonna be sick
that.
that day.
Why? Okay. We'll have to figure that out.
We got upcoming talk. We'll ask TJ.
How could we not
He'll be
talk about
decisive
that?
about what we want to talk about.
Okay.
Well, next time.
More later.
Good
You guys are
morning.
the best.
Good morning.
Good.
Good morning.
Good morning. That's it. That is the appropriate sign off, isn't it? Good morning.